Welcome to episode 199 of the Prosperity Practice, the podcast that has you living your most abundant life. My name is Danielle Amos, and I am your host. Today, I have a friend, a very special guest. I've been on her podcast, and here she is on the Prosperity Practice. Her name is Michelle Wolfe. She's a dedicated entrepreneur, a passionate advocate for active living, and the founder and owner of the MUVE Life Activewear brand, a thriving activewear brand that's already made waves in just 1 year. She is also the host of the Move Forward podcast, a platform she's nurtured for over 4 years, where she engages in inspiring conversations with individuals who have triumphed over life's challenges, sharing their invaluable wisdom on overcoming adversity. With a background as a skilled massage therapist, Michelle has always been deeply rooted in the world of health and wellness. Her lifelong dedication to the pursuit of wellness shines through her work and her podcasts as she aims to empower others to unlock their potential through movement. Michelle's journey is a testament to her unwavering commitment to making the world a healthier and happier place, one step, one podcast episode, one piece of activewear at a time. Here we go. Enjoy. Today, I have a very special guest. She's a friend and a colleague, and her name is Michelle. And Michelle and I were just talking offline about why I reached out to her to be a guest on the Prosperity Practice. So, this podcast may have a little different energy than what you're used to on the Prosperity Practice. And at the same time, I invite you to lean into the conversation and to listen, like you do when I have other guests, as a fly on the wall. There's something for you here, and to trust in that and know that Michelle and I are safe and we're adults, and we've come to this conversation knowing that there's healing. I know for myself, and perhaps for Michelle and for those that are listening. I recently was taking our community, the Success Society, through an end of year ritual, which many of you listening, I know, were involved in that and may have seen online. And so during that end of year ritual, I myself was going through the practices of reflecting on this past year and the challenges that myself personally have faced in my family. And I was reframing those challenges, especially around the passing of my niece, Lily, that happened in the summer. And during that reflection, I was able to see some beauty and some gifts. And just recently, I heard Michelle speak at the Women Rising Collective, an event that I partnered with her and a few other amazing women. She was reflecting and connecting the dots in her own life about the passing of her mom and what that means for her purpose and where she is now. And right away, I got this urge to connect to Michelle and invite her here on the Prosperity Practice. So that's why we're here today. And I'm grateful for our listeners, and I'm grateful for your time, Michelle, and your heart and sharing with us openly. So welcome to the Prosperity Practice.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love your podcast. I'm a regular listener. And I jump on any opportunity to be able to share, because there are a lot of people who are suffering from loss. And I think it's really valuable to be able to openly share how we can find the positives when we go through such a traumatic experience. So I am excited to be here and to share.
Thank you. Thank you. So, would you feel comfortable talking about your experience and losing your mom and where you are now and how long ago that was, and anything you feel called with that experience? And then we'll go from there.
Sure. So my mom passed away when I was 8. That was actually 1994. She was only 35 years old.
Wow.
And at the time, I think as children, it's different to lose someone because you don't really understand. I always thought She was still alive. She was with a different family, helping them
Wow.
because they needed her more than we did because we were okay. And a lot of different ideas about death came to me at that time. I used to think I'd see her all the time. And it was tricky. I had two older siblings who were teens or almost teens. And so it was a journey. I had a father who was very hands-on, but also not hands-on. He was a farmer and he was in the fields all the time. And he also found a partner a couple years in, and he was at her house all the time. And so I found I was quite alone a lot. And I was happy. I was happy. I wouldn't say that I suffered or felt that I was in lack of, except for times at like Mother's Day and at certain times of the year, I would feel, a little extra sad. And it wasn't until I got older, I met my partner, who I'm still now with, Neil, and he has a daughter. And when I met him, I had this interesting feeling that I was meant to be in his life, not because of him as much as for his daughter and also his ex. And long story short, his ex had cancer and passed away. And it was a very similar cancer to what my mom passed away when I was 8. And my stepdaughter now was 7 at the time when her mom passed away. And it really became real to me once all that happened, really when she found out that she had cancer, that there was a bigger purpose to my journey and what I had been through. And wow, like how wild is it that I have been through a very similar story, situation, life experience that I can now be a support to my daughter. Um, and it's been this wild experience of growth, and learning for not just her, but also for myself, going back to past traumas that are coming up as I'm learning to be a mother, and not only a mother, but a mother to a child who has lost her mother. So there's been a lot of pain and a lot of growth, and it's been a beautiful experience for both of us. And I'm excited to see where it takes us.
I find it so interesting, like knowing what I know about the mind and how we attract experiences to us, and how you could have attracted a partner, like not knowing, obviously, that this would happen for her mother to pass away. I mean, I just find it so fascinating.
Mhm.
And it reminds me of I really become present to the beautiful order that exists in the universe that we don't really see and always understand. But really, this line that I've said a lot this year, that life is always working out for us, even when we can't see the moving parts, and we're not aware. But how fascinating that you attract Neil into your life, and he's got this daughter, and then this happens. How many years prior, like when did you meet him compared to when his ex passed away? What was the timing of that?
Um, I first met him, oh, what was it? 7 years prior to her passing. Um, and that's a whole story on its own. A lot of
Mm.
different things happening through there, but I would say that our relationship never fully, like, we never got to this point of truly having an amazing connection until really just like a year or two ago. And that
Mm.
what I believe to be true is that it's because I was on a journey of understanding my own pain that I had been through that I didn't think that I had. I thought I
Oh,
was
wow.
fine. I'm happy. I never had any issues. I was totally okay with the fact that I lost my mom when I was young. I'd figured it out. I am strong. I am confident. I am fine. And it wasn't
Wow.
until I started to have these really weird feelings with my daughter and she's an incredible child. But I started to have these really interesting moments where I would be mad at her if she didn't do something that I wanted her to do exactly how I wanted it. Or I would feel like almost like, how dare you not do this? You're so selfish. Do you not understand that you are so lucky that you have someone who loves you where I did not have a mother? And so I started to have these crazy thoughts. And when I started that, I thought, oh my gosh, there is something so much deeper because it's not her. This is within me. And so I need to do some deep healing to figure out where this is coming from. And after therapy and understanding, I realized that it was just, I'm just a little girl who wanted support and who was alone and who wanted nothing but to have her mom there. And now I'm able to understand that, and I'm able to let love in. And so now that I'm able to understand that I was the one pushing love away, oh my God, my relationship with my partner is fire. Like, we don't fight.
Wow.
It's just like, there's so many things that have come out of this experience. Like, Danielle, I can't, this is even just like
Yeah.
surface.
Well, this is so interesting because, like, first of all, for you to be super aware that you were having these thoughts, these feelings when it came to your daughter, and for you to like actually observe them, to then speak to a therapist about them and help, who helped you obviously work through. That's huge.
Mhm. And like you were saying, we attract what we need. I thought
Mhm.
I was fine. And though I had this deeper pain that I couldn't even see, it's like as if I needed it to be brought out by somebody or something, some experience. And once it was open and raw and right there at the tip of my hands, I could finally see it. And
Yeah.
then I could recognize it and then get help for it.
And the truth is, like you said, you kind of alluded to this, that it was always there. It's just so hidden in the subconscious
Absolutely.
mind. And until we're ready, the subconscious mind won't bring it consciously to your attention. So obviously you were ready, and this relationship allowed, well, both with your partner and with your daughter, you allowed yourself to be just cracked open.
Mhm.
How incredible. Right now, this is so fitting because right now I'm reading the book Happy by Gabby Bernstein.
Okay.
Have
Yep.
you okay, so she talks about trauma and in this book, and how most of us, I mean, your mom passing obviously is what she calls a big T trauma. Um, she talks about little T trauma and how we all have been impacted by trauma in our lives, and most of it goes detected for many people for their entire lives, and they're not able to see what is behind like the sabotaging behavior or whatever the behavior is. um, and she really invites her readers to observe what's going on, similar to what how you share, like, what are the thoughts, like when are those points when you don't feel good, and notice and stop and see if you can see what's behind it all. Interesting.
Yeah, I had listened to Gabby actually when I started this form of trauma therapy, and she was actually doing the exact same trauma therapy, interfamily systems, and the polyvagal theory as well. I think she did too. And I think she had experienced physical abuse that she didn't even remember until like it's now what, 40 years later. And what happens is it creates pain physically in our bodies. It creates diseases. It creates these moments when we are triggered, and it creates blocks. Currently you talk all about, manifesting money or manifesting abundance. And I have had a lot of abundance and a lot of growth over the past couple years, but not to the level that I feel like I should be at. You know that feeling, and I'm sure many of your listeners do, when it's like you feel like there's more, you feel like you're almost on the edge, that there's just something that's stopping you from being able to actually succeed to the level that you feel like you should be. And
Mhm.
so I've brought this up recently in my therapy, just questioning like what could be that block? And oh goodness, there are definitely things that you talk about all the time, but I'm unaware of them because my mind has subconsciously just put me in this place that it's normal because it's what I've always known. And so I've recently been able to identify some of these ideas and thoughts to be able to think like, oh, okay, these are the reasons why I don't fully believe that I can succeed. And so if we can work with that and understand that better, then perhaps I can, change my thoughts like you always talk about, to allow these things into my life. Like I know that I'm worth and I know that I'm deserving of.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that feeling for myself when I know I'm on the edge, because it is just a thought pattern, like a habitual belief that gets to change. And once you identify it, or even going one step further, is identifying the beliefs that you get to accept about yourself that will get you there. So sometimes we can become like I say like the paradigm hunter, or the beliefs that don't serve us, and we're like digging, digging, digging. We can also do the other work, which is accepting the belief that you need to accept to have to receive if it's financial abundance, that you know your worth. So you can do it the other way as well and
Mhm.
repeat. But I mean, the truth is, like, the healing and this growth, as we both know, this journey that we're on, it doesn't end. So
Mhm.
it's a lifelong commitment, and we'll always, I believe, are guided to what's next. The program, the book, the mentor, the conversation that opens us up a little further, opens our awareness a little further to continue to grow, so that ultimately we can help more people.
Absolutely. And I never like to say like, "Oh, I wish I knew that sooner," or "I should have tried that earlier," because you are exactly where you're meant to be. You wouldn't have necessarily seen it in that same way because you weren't necessarily ready for it. So,
Yeah,
yet
yeah.
being very grateful for when it comes and when it arises for you to be able to say like, "Wow, like I can take this in and I'm going to learn from it." And it is a forever journey. Like, and it's, to me, it's now like a game. Like I see life as this beautiful game where I get to do different plays every single day. Where is it going to take me? What am I going to learn? What experiences are going to come into my life? It's this fun game now rather than just like, oh, here we go, another day. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's exciting.
That's so good. Well, a lot of that's, I believe, is the being super intentional, so that it can be a game. I think a lot of us, a lot of people go through life where they're not that intentional. So it's like reacting, reacting. So it can feel like just another day. But when
Mm,
we become super intentional and aligned or aware of our purpose, it's pretty fun to see what we attract into our life and how we want to play the game today.
mhm.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
cool.
Mhm.
So I would love to hear from you. I mean, we touched on how you attracted your partner Neil and his daughter, your daughter, and um, how you've played this role, and she's gone through a very similar experience to you, from losing her mom. And in hindsight, when you is this something that you've talked to her about? And how do you are you able to connect the dots even to your like a bigger, let's blow the context now out, like a bigger context so we can speak about your purpose and how all of like you've experienced the experience that you've had leading up to that, even up to her your mother's passing and then meeting Neil and her daughter and his daughter's mother. Are you able to see how the dots all connect for you now if you when you look back? So there's a few questions in there. I'm like curious
Yeah.
to know
Yeah.
about the conversation that you had with her, but also like just connecting those dots for
Um,
yourself.
I'm an open book. When it comes to
Mhm,
her, I share probably too much. I'm
mhm,
very open with her. And I believe, and what I have noticed with her is that it gives her confidence and understanding about what's going on. And the conversations that she comes home with to share about like what she's going through is is what I can feel because of what I've shared with her. So
mhm.
it's like a different level she's able to think at because I don't hold back at sharing with her, like, oh, like I went through this and now can you believe that we're together and we're able to help each other? I'll share with her about my trauma therapy and certain times I'll be reactive at things and I'll say, you know what? This is actually something I'm working with in my trauma therapy. And I'm pretty interested at how it's come up right now. And I'd love to talk to you about that. Sometimes she's interested. Sometimes she's like, oh, here we go again. you know,
Yeah.
it just depends on the day. But a lot of times she just takes it in and she'll bring it up again. She'll be like, aren't you working on that? Maybe we could talk about this. Like,
How old is she now?
she is 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's wise
Mhm.
and she takes it all in and it's really beautiful. So I have had conversations with people who don't speak as openly and then they question like, "Oh my gosh, how do I bring this up?" or like, "Why is this still bothering me?" I'm like, "Well, maybe you have to have that conversation because once they understand where you're coming from or like what you're working at, they're a little bit more understanding of moments when you're working through it, you're able to and I think it's healthier for all of us to just talk things through rather than holding
Yeah.
things back. Mhm.
I love so Eloise, my daughter is 13, and I find it really interesting how they can be our accountability buddies. You know, when you do have an open conversation about what you are working on and dedicated to the way that you're dedicated for myself, like how I'm dedicated to be my goal achieved. So when I'm not that, she's probably the first to keep me accountable and gives me the eyes or so we have a secret word and it's fascinating because she has a completely different perspective, but she's willing to say it, you know, willing to remind me of who I am and sees me of as that. So I love that your
Yep.
daughter does that as well.
Oh, yes. And I love it because it calls me out. Sometimes we
Yeah.
don't recognize it or we need somebody to do that, to call us out, to be that accountability buddy. And they're the one that's with you the most typically. And so why not have them help you through it? Plus, we're teaching them. I want
Yeah.
nothing more than to teach her early than rather, how many years down the road like I had to learn it later. So it's powerful for both of us.
Yeah, that's good. So, share with me how some of the things that you've really helped her with when coping with the loss of her mom. And it sounds like you've been going through your own therapy and you're passing some of those tools on, which I think is incredible. What have you found has really helped her the most?
Hmm. Um, Communication and letting her know that it's okay to feel the way that she feels. And we also talk a lot in our family about allowing the pain and allowing the sadness to come and to process, however, not sticking in it too long.
Mm,
Um, I was starting to see some common things coming up for her. each time she'd get in trouble, she would bring up her mom and how she missed her. And so it was actually as if she was using it as like a scapegoat. And so we had to have a conversation about that, how every trauma or every pain or every situation that goes wrong in our life is not because of our past problems or our past, loss, and how we can learn to use it and to process it, but not to use it as something that is like a victim. Like, I'm not a
Mhm,
victim because my mom passed. How have
mhm,
I actually achieved maybe something better? Or how have we overcome this? And how can we use that to our advantage? We always say that having an angel mom is the most powerful angel you could ever have. And that to me is something really beautiful because she can see it as a positive. Like, yeah, it
yeah,
sucks. Her mom is not physically here. However, we believe that in this world, we are all energy, and her mom is literally with her all the time, guiding her. So we're very aware of the conversation of saying, if you need something, ask. You can still ask her, and then to be aware of if there are signs or feelings. If your
mm,
body is telling you yes, then that's likely a yes. And if your body is telling you no, then that's likely something or someone or your own subconscious mind guiding you. And so listen, it's okay to listen to that. So I know a lot of times like when I was younger, as simple as like food, okay, the conversation around food, and somebody says, no, I don't want that. Like, that doesn't feel good to me. So, listening to that, if you can't eat more on your plate because you are full, listen to that. Um, yeah, and it can go in any area of your life, right? Like any part of your life, you can listen to that and be guided by your guides or your subconscious mind. And so I think that's probably the biggest piece to the puzzle of what we do to help her remember her mom. I mean, we have pictures around the house. We celebrate birthdays. We literally get a cake or a cupcake and we celebrate and we sing, and yeah, we make it a
mm.
thing so that the memory is still there, that she's still here.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. I was wondering about that conversation about that we're all energy, and if she has that level of understanding. I find that super helpful. I've also noticed that not everyone in the outside world really understands that. So they see death as a permanent thing, and that and I think that actual, because not everyone maybe has that same belief or understanding, that what we've noticed in our family, my sister and I have this conversation, is that that actually makes it harder because their sadness or their finite
Hmm.
likeness with their life. So in our case, Lily's life makes it harder.
Hmm.
Um, uh, but when we understand that her energy is here and that she's here, um, it's an easier conversation. There's a book that both Stacy and I are reading. I just finished it. It's called Signs. Have you read that by
Ooh,
Laura
no.
Lynn Johnson? Oh my gosh, when you said Signs, I was like, I bet she's read that book. It's so good.
Okay.
Really, really good. And it talks about there's lots of examples. There's one woman, her father passed away, and she said that she actually has a better relationship with him since he transitioned than
Hmm.
she did when he was in his physical body. And the book encourages you to create your own language with your family members who have passed, and to then share the stories with the other family members that are there, and notice how often they are actually right there with you, and can communicate through, we've all heard dimes and angel numbers and things like that, and it's like can become even more specific than that. So it's a beautiful book.
I will definitely check it out because I follow that, or I believe that wholly. And if you don't, at this moment, like you're listening to this and you think it's just complete hokey pokey. I know a lot of people who've had they've lost someone and they say, I believe it and I understand it, but yet I'm not seeing the signs. Michelle, help me. How do I see the signs? And my understanding of that would just be give it time. And also, it's like anything, you need to practice it. So we will actually ask, like, show me a sign. And specifically, can you show me this thing? So I'll literally
Yeah.
ask for the thing. And that's when it started to become more real. Mine is Hawks. And I'll tell you, my daughter's old school was Hawks. Like that was the name of
Oh
her
my
school,
goodness.
which is even wilder. But we
Wow.
have a hawk that like flies around our house regularly. When I do spiritual, like when I do my trauma therapy, I've had a hawk literally staring at me the whole time. And that was when I felt the transition of me no longer feeling alone, but knowing that my mom is actually always with me, like where I deeply felt that. And I woke up and she was literally like the hawk was staring at me. Like it's just real. It's there. It has to be. Before
Yeah.
an event, I had hawks like show up on my walk, literally right beside me. It,
Wow.
they're always there. It's just whether or not we're open to it. So practicing and asking is very powerful. And if it doesn't happen right away, do not give up on it. Continue to try because I mean, I think it took me many, many years before I started to truly believe it. And now it's like on a daily basis where I will see things and I'll just like, oh, thanks. Like I see you too. It's not even a big
I
deal.
love
It's
it.
just always there.
I love it. And how supported that must feel to know that she's always there. And I would say, when your recommendation to ask and then give it time, also to be open to the form in which it comes, because like the hawk may not be an actual physical hawk, it may be a painting or someone even saying the word to you or a story about hawks. So like just really staying open and allowing um, the person, your angel on the other side, to be creative with the way that they give you your signs.
That just reminded me of something. My daughter, actually, we were having a conversation when I first shared with her about how asking for signs. And I said to her, if you could look for a sign, what would it be? Like, what would be the one thing right now today that you would choose? And she's like, I don't know, a penny. And I was like, great. We don't even have pennies anymore. Like, this kid's not going to find one and it's all going to be a mess. I will, no joke. Okay, Danielle, no joke. We were reading a book that night we had never read. I think she got it as a gift or something. And it was the very first time we read it. And we're going through the book. And then there was a special gift. And the special gift was a penny. And it was the exact same night that we had just discussed this. And we both looked at each other and we were like, no, like, how is this possible? Of all the days to go through it, and it was
Yeah,
right there. So it's just it's there, it's real, and just trust that it is possible to find those signs and they will show up.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love that. It brings me so much comfort that this idea, of being fully supported. I've had my own asking for signs or asking for support from Lily this past year. And it comes like anytime that I have the intuition to ask, I ask. Like even if it's something like the smallest thing. Paul
Yeah.
misplaced his watch. He had got a new watch like a few days prior, and he went for a swim by our chalet and went out on the paddleboard, and he took it off and put it on a rock, and he came home and he realized later that it wasn't on his wrist, and he remembered taking it off, and he went back and he couldn't find it. And he had just bought it, and it was quite the investment for him, like pretty special. And so it just crossed my mind. I was like, well, why don't we ask for help? Because like what's yours is never lost. And so if you can just see yourself with it. And so I like consciously paused and in my mind prayed and asked to Lily's for her support. And and it was the first time, it was shortly after she had passed. And I kid you not, he like got up. He went back that night a few times, couldn't see anything. I said, let's go to bed. He got up super early in the morning, like it just, the sun had just came, and he walked down and he said the way the sun rose, so it was sunrise, the way it rose, it caught his attention. He turned to the right and he saw the glistening of his watch on a rock, like way in a different spot to where he took it off. And it was just sitting there. And it just was so easy.
Mhm. Mhm. And it should be.
Um,
It should be. It should
yeah,
be like that. Yeah. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's when you can really tap into it, right? Like, we are all connected. If you believe that, we are connected as energy. And so you can ask for that guidance, and that guidance will bring you to, like you said, like to the watch or to what it is that you're looking for. Mhm. Oh, that's
yeah.
cool. I love these
It's so true.
stories.
Yeah, and that's what that science book is all about. So when you said that, I think that you'll really enjoy it. And for those listening, I notice for myself, I mean, we all have spirit helpers, I believe, and helpers on the other side. So there's other ways that if, you may not have had someone that has passed, but you still are guided and you're guiding yourself. Intuition is that, and your ability to listen to your own guidance system. I've noticed that we really do have to, like, the asking is a huge part, and slow down to listen and to recognize the signs, because they don't always come in the form that we expect it. And so we've got to slow down to see them and recognize it. Would you
Mhm.
agree with that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And um, I think you've mentioned this already today, but it just brings this calmness, rather than frustration or anger. It allows you to have a calmness and an understanding and a peace with knowing that they're still there, they're guiding you, things are possible. It's just it's calming. I think that's the best word that I can use to describe it. It's peaceful rather than painful. And although it is, yes, painful and sad, I would much rather feel good. And so for me, in order to feel that way, it's a conscious decision every single day to choose the understanding, to choose the fact that, perhaps this was brought to me in this form in order to grow as a spiritual human being. And it's not that I'm being punished or that,
Mm.
this is a terrible thing that has happened to only me. This is life to help you become your best, truest self. I truly, truly believe that. And if we can focus on that, if we can identify that, then it allows that anger and frustration to kind of dissipate more than what it wouldn't. Um, so I hope that people who are suffering or people who do feel those moments when they're going through a lot of challenging times, that you can focus on the fact that perhaps it's a blessing or perhaps there's a lesson. And how can you use that to your advantage? Just like I use the fact that my mom is my angel, the best angel you could ever have. That's an advantage I have over the next person. That's how my brain sees it. And it makes me feel powerful and confident and happy.
I love that. When we bring it out to like really look, okay, well, maybe this is actually something that is a blessing for me, that there's growth here for me, and I'm meant to help other people because of this experience. And I wouldn't quite be who I am, or maybe on purpose, if it didn't happen, because clearly that saying life's happening for me, not to me, is huge. And so it takes something to be able um to recognize that lesson or the gift in it. And it's powerful when we do.
Mhm.
Um How have you used it's clear to I think all of us how you've used this in your relationship, obviously with your daughter to help her. How have you used the experience of losing your mom in your career or like as far as it aligns with your purpose? You've
Ooh.
been able to do that?
Yeah. So, as soon as she passed, I had the idea crossed to me that there was a reason why she got cancer.
Mm,
And I had this understanding that stress was a big part of it. And stress comes in the form of the food we eat, the pressures we put on ourselves, the beliefs that we have on ourselves, the past traumas we have on ourselves. And so over the years, I've been able to create careers and jobs around that. I'm obsessed with health and wellness. So, um, moving my body is a big part of it. I really, really, really love being able to move my body and moving around energies, when I feel stuck or yucky. When I move my body, I'm able to release some of that discomfort. I started an active wear line because of that. Um,
which I'm wearing right now.
yay!
Yeah.
That's awesome. I loved seeing you and you're in the leggings or anybody. It's such a cool
Yeah.
feeling seeing
Yeah.
people wearing the clothes that you created. Um, and it was just a passion of mine to, instill confidence in people while they're wearing what they're wearing. Um, so yeah, I feel like each area of my life, the podcast is all about moving forward from challenging struggles. I feel like each area of my life is this underlining idea of like, how can we limit stress on our body so that we limit any type of diseases or discomfort and to help us grow as individuals. So my whole career in everything that I've created is based upon my mom dying from cancer.
Yeah.
But how can I use it in this beautiful way to help other people, to help myself, to help my family? And it's just transitioned in such a unique, interesting way over the years. But I would say that that is where it all stemmed from.
Wow. Yeah. It's clear to see that looking back and what you've created. How cool is that? I mean, I also, as you were sharing, I'm reminded of this belief that I also have about how our kids choose us and vice versa. We choose our parents. And so knowing your mom's purpose and your mom's life, like her soul knowing that, and the two of you coming in contract together for your experience and your purpose, this you being this spiritual being in this human body in this life, like, of course, almost like that would happen in order for you to go on and impact millions of people that you're impacting through your brand and your podcast and your activewear.
And I do believe that our spiritual beings understand the fact that we can do what we can do while we're here on earth, and then we can do what we can do while we are in, like a spiritual angel form. And so, in
Mhm.
my understanding, she was here for what she could when she was here, but her purpose and what she wanted to fulfill wasn't actually able to be fully fulfilled through her on earth. And so her now in the spiritual form is able to come through me and assist me into changing a lot of those paradigms that we've had, like passed down through family. And Danielle, they are coming up. Like it is wild what I am sensing that my grandmother went through, like the same
Wow.
type of problems, just in a different form. And so I am able to break these things because my spiritual mother is able to help guide me through that. So again, it's a game. I see it as this beautiful game and we're just connecting all of the dots as we go. It's wild. I don't even have all of the words for it yet because it is so
Yeah.
new, but it's as if like once you really truly get it and it makes sense in your head, you're able to just tackle things in a different way or to unravel parts of your life because you have that understanding, knowing that you are guided, knowing that it is a bigger purpose. and that we're all connected as this energy.
I think it's so cool that you're so open to that because that's a huge part of you raising your awareness in this way and seeing life as a game and being open to like, even healing um the generational trauma and going through similar things that your grandmother went through. I mean, you being open to all of that's very cool and it takes something to have that awareness. So I love hearing you talk like that. Um it's inspiring. I think I also believe that it really takes something to for a person to accept their purpose in this way so that you can like really get present to the bigger picture on how you're here to help someone because um uh and your desire to feel good and to feel better and to focus on the positive, I think has a lot to do with that. I'm just thinking in my own life, in my family, I want so much for there to be peace, especially for my sister, who's Lily's mom, to have peace in her journey and to like feel like she's fully supported and know that this is somehow all related to her purpose and who she is and how she's here to help others. So you sharing that, just I feel like something's opening up there and I get to see her tomorrow, so I'll share with her
Yeah,
our
and
conversation.
I think it's beautiful knowing and maybe identifying that perhaps this is, I mean, we've said this already. It's part of her journey to get her to where she's meant to go or what she's meant to do on this earth. And we
Mhm.
can identify it's unfair. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily the way she wanted it to be.
no.
And it can also be beautiful. It doesn't have to be beautiful tomorrow. You don't have to feel fabulous tomorrow about this or even the next year. It can take a lot of time. But continuing the journey of seeking for that understanding, I think is like key, Danielle. So many of
Mm,
us just stick with what we know and what we do day by day, and we're not as necessarily curious as what we could be. And it's that curiosity that I feel is what gets me to understand more of this, understand this life. Because if I wasn't curious, then I wouldn't try trauma therapy. If I wasn't curious, I wouldn't have come on this podcast or even went to an event that I first met you at, which then led me to meeting all these other beautiful people in my life or standing on stage or doing all these other things. If I wasn't curious, then it would be blocking me from what is coming. So,
mm,
for anyone listening, I don't think we're meant to be at a certain level or at a certain space at a certain time. We are just on a journey. Take it as
yeah,
in where you are today is where you're meant to be and be curious. Keep trying what you are being guided to try. And you're going to look back in like a year and think like, whoa, like who I was a year ago was a different person than who I am today. Even my thoughts are different, my knowledge is different, and it's not right nor wrong. It's just, you know, it's different. And
yeah.
that is the growth.
Growth. Yeah,
Mhm, mhm,
yeah, for sure. Um, and trusting what comes in your path, the what feels good, what you are, what lights you up, what conversations, I mean, not only feel good, but I think that you're inspired to have, like you'll be guided, they'll even if they are uncomfortable, to lean into them and to understand that it's in your path for a reason um and to trust that.
mhm.
Hmm,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
very cool. Thank you. Thanks for spending your afternoon with me today and sharing your story and just having this conversation, it felt like you would understand. And although, like you said, it doesn't make it the loss fair or right or anything like that, it doesn't make that excuse. It just, in my own reflection, I seeing the beauty it wasn't very easy to see in the first few months, but it's becoming a lot easier. Um, and I think it's important to have conversations that solidify it and allow the healing to continue to take place. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Oh
Thank
my
you for
god.
being that for me,
You're
with
so
me.
welcome. You're so welcome, and I know that feeling of what you're going through. I've also had a nephew who's passed away. Um, and so it's not yeah, I don't know. It's more so I get what you're feeling. I understand that feeling, and I understand the beautiful growth that will come out of this. And so I know it sounds twisted, but I'm excited for you. And when people
Mm.
tell me about a trauma they're going through, I no longer feel bad for them. I don't want them to go through pain. I don't want you to have that. But I also am really excited for you because I know of what is coming. And that is,
Mm.
again, a way that my mindset has been programmed because I've focused on that for so long. It's not a mistake. It's not a problem. It is literally a part of this life's game, this journey for you to grow and for the
Yeah.
individuals in your life who are involved in this. And so I'm sending you so much love, and I am excited for you and for your family.
Thank you. Yeah, that is a huge piece that has brought also comfort that there's, opportunity. I think I've been writing a lot recently in my own on social media, but in my own journal about it's not that people, sometimes we think that successful people don't have problems, but it's not that. It's that they're not even calling them problems. They're seeing them as opportunities for growth on the other side of the problem, of the obstacle is the growth that we've actually been seeking, is and there's beauty in that. And I really feel like for myself personally that the 2024 energy is very much like quantum leaping. It could not, after a year like this, and the the um the lessons gained and the resiliency gained and the focus. I feel like it's time for that. So I'm also excited, and I've got this like very much quantum leap energy for 2024. So thank you for
Woohoo!
also recognizing that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. It can be as small as like a stubbed toe. You can stub your toe and you can focus on that. Like, ooh, what is this teaching me? What is this lesson? What am I meant to be doing right now? Like, just pay attention rather than being like, oh, my toe, this sucks, terrible day. Like,
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. So it doesn't have to
That's
be
the big
big nor
difference.
small.
Yeah, and that's the big difference. This idea of like life happening to me, like, oh man, my toe, why me? Versus, oh my gosh, thank goodness my toe. Like, what does this have for me on the other side? So good.
Exactly.
What a great reminder.
Yeah.
So thank you, Michelle. Thank you for being here. For those of you who would like to connect with Michelle, we'll put all her links in the show notes. She also has an incredible podcast as well, which I've been a guest on. So I encourage you to go check out the Move podcast, and of course the activewear. You'll love her yoga pants and the socks. And I don't, do you call I just was at yoga, so I'm still wearing it, but the bra or the top
Yep.
is
I
so
do call it a
comfortable.
yoga bra, but it is like a top because it's a little longer. I don't know. I think you have the high neck one. Did I give you the high neck
I
one?
do.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's different styles, but
And
yeah, I wear and it's so
it's
comfortable.
so good. It's so good. And I'm not one that is so comfortable with the pants and just wearing like the bra out to yoga class, but with your clothing, I actually do. I'm like
Woohoo!
that girl. I know. And
Hey.
you would never see me in any other brand because it's just the way that it fits and it covers so well. And I'm like, ooh, I actually like feel really good in this. So for those of you, we'll make sure that that you can connect with Michelle and go grab your set of move wear as well. So
Oh my
good. Thank
gosh.
you. Thank you for sharing your energy with me and thank you for being in my life. And I really appreciate, you made such a difference when you're on stage for me personally at the Women Rising Collective. So I'm just grateful and happy holidays to you
Oh
and
my
your
gosh.
family.
Happy holidays to you, Danielle. Thank you for everything that you do. I adore you. And like I said, I'm excited for you. 2024, here we
Thank
go.
you. Let's go. Thank you. And for all of our listeners, thank you for being here. Expect abundance. Michelle, any last words as we wrap?
Oh gosh. Ooh, I wish I could think of something on the spot. Just, I always say keep shining your light and keep moving forward. That's what I say at the end of my podcast. And I truly believe that, like, shine what it is that you are meant to be doing. We are all here on this earth for something different. My journey is different than yours, but keep shining your light and move forward. Don't stay stuck, just keep moving forward and trying new things.
So good. Well, what a great time of year to release this podcast right before the end of the year and the brand new year to move forward. So thank you again, Michelle. Thank you for joining me as a guest as I have this conversation with Michelle today. I'm happy that you were here. I'm happy that you were a part of it. Please go to the show notes and follow Michelle. Go check out her link. Go check out MUVE Activewear. And we'll see you on the next episode. Happy holidays to all of you. Thank you and expect abundance.